All right, welcome back from your mask break, grade 9s. This is lesson 7, chapter 5, immigration. Here we go. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to understand what are collective rights. No, that's got nothing to do with this. That's the copy and paste from last chapter. I'll have to fix that. After the end of this lesson, you should understand what drives immigration, how immigration has an effect on Canada. You should be able to understand the division of society surrounding immigration, some of the arguments that people may use to promote immigration, and some of the arguments people may use to want to curtail or to slow immigration. Immigration is a smaller chapter, a minor chapter of the course this year, so it's only going to be exposed to 5 questions on the midterm. Having said that though, immigration is a very important topic, as all of our topics seem to have been this year. Very important topic for the future of Canada and by proxy for you. So Canada continues to increase its immigration levels to support its high living standards. So why might we be pro-immigration? That's a good question, right? Why might Canada want to increase how many new Canadians are allowed into our borders? Some would say, well, we need to continue to support our high living standard. So as existing Canadians age and as we retire, we become a part of the social safety net. We become in need of government assistance, like healthcare, at a greater extent as we age. And if we don't have the population growing to replace those who are retiring and becoming senior citizens, then there may be a financial imbalance. There may not be enough money to continue to support things like public health care. So some would suggest that one of the main reasons to increase our immigration levels is to replace our workers, because we're not having the same number of children that we did a generation or 2 ago. So we need more laborers in Canada, but we also need more taxpayers in Canada. We need a bigger tax base so that we can provide the services that our seniors will need. The aging of our society will weaken our labor force and economic growth as its financial or fiscal costs in areas such as healthcare end up rising. Delivering quality healthcare to its aging population will become even more expensive. We can look at this current pandemic and see the hundreds of billions of dollars your federal government has spent. Where's that money going to come from? If we can increase the tax pool, then the government will have to take less money from you in the future. So that's one argument in favor of immigration. But there's arguments against immigration. Again, living in a time of pandemic, you may say, why would we want to open our borders? Should we not be closing them? Should we not be trying to insulate ourselves, protect ourselves from the literal virus that could become not only a life threat, but an economic threat to our country? Many people also argue that although it's creating jobs, it's also creating more dependence in Canada. So immigration might not be just a positive. There may be a negative side. So there is a division of society surrounding immigration that we'll be looking at over the next couple of days. So in order to preview this topic, I have a series of notes that have been created and put on YouTube here that we're going to look at. And then we have the Williams social videos that each time has some questions at the beginning, and then she answers them, and then the answers come also at the end. So we're going to have an introduction to the chapter today by looking at the overview, by looking at the 2 Williams videos with those conversational questions, both asked and answered.
Hello everybody, and welcome to your video on immigration. This is chapter 5 in your textbook for grade 9 social studies. In this chapter, we will be exploring Canada's immigration laws and policies. These say who can come to Canada from other countries to work and live. Immigration is an important part of Canada's legislative framework because it affects the quality of life of all Canadians and people who seek to build a home in Canada. People want to come to Canada for many reasons. That will be the focus of our video today. By the end of this chapter, we hope that you will be able to answer our overarching question of how does Canadian immigration policy affect My Canada? In order to get to this question, there are several essential questions that we will be looking at in order to reach that understanding. Specifically, what factors influence immigration policies in Canada? How does Canada benefit from immigration? What criteria are used when accepting immigrants and refugees to Canada? How are individual and collective rights impacted by immigration policies? What impact does increasing immigration have on Aboriginal peoples and communities? How are provincial governments able to influence and implement immigration policies? And how is the implementation of immigration policies in Quebec an attempt to strengthen the French language in North America?
All right, so this gives you the guiding questions. This gives you the, okay, what are we doing studying immigration? Why are we studying? And what questions are we meant to answer? These are our essential questions. And what factors influence our immigration policies? How does Canada benefit? Or to what extent do we benefit? Maybe we don't. That's something you should be exploring. What criteria are being used to accept immigrants and refugees? Now, how do we decide who gets to come to Canada? Because you may not know it, but there's millions that want to come to Canada, and we're not allowing everyone to come. How are individual and collective rights impacted by immigration policies? So this goes back to chapter 3 and 4. So they're saying, okay, we've talked about immigration, or we will talk about immigration, but we want to relate it back to chapters 3 and 4 and say, how does it impact your rights and your collective rights? And that's why collectively it also talks about Aboriginal peoples and Francophone peoples. And then there's the connection about provinces. Because some provinces, like Quebec, want to have their own distinctive immigration policy. Because Quebec doesn't want to lose the culture that exists. These are the guiding questions. So anytime that you have guiding questions, it gives you a purpose. This is what you're studying. These are the things you're meant to be able to answer. So if we have an evaluation on chapter 5, and it's a short answer, I mean, I could just give you those questions right there. That would be your evaluation.
Immigration is the process of people establishing homes, and often citizenship, in a country that is not their native country. Immigration is important because it affects the quality of life of Canadians and of the people who seek to build a home in Canada. So why do people choose to immigrate to Canada? Canada offers...
So here's that language part. This is why we're taking notes. So what's the push-pull factor? And what's pushing people into Canada? What's pulling people into Canada? And what are the factors that are saying, you know what, maybe come to Canada? And why would somebody move from Estonia to Canada? Why would they move from Nigeria to Canada? Why do they move from the Philippines to Canada? Why do they move from the United States to Canada, or China to Canada, or Germany, or Russia, or Chad, or Egypt, or South Africa? We have so many South African doctors in Wetaskiwin. Why did they come here? When you meet somebody that's not born in Wetaskiwin, but they're living here, don't you often say, huh, what are you doing here? Why did you come to Wetaskiwin? Why Canada? Many of you are immigrants to Canada. Many of you are not Aboriginal Canadians. So why did your family come to Canada? What's the push-pull factor?
refugee to certain people who are pushed from their home country for certain circumstances.
Some people are pushed, right? Some people are pushed because their country doesn't want them. So they might be someone that's living in Lebanon, or living in Russia, and the government sees them as a threat. So you might be speaking out against the government, criticizing the government. You're a voice of what we call dissent or discontent. And the government's like, we don't want to allow this person to become a movement. So let's push them out of our country. So some people are pushed out of their country, pushed out of Lebanon, pushed out of Russia, pushed out of Ireland. So refugees are often pushed out.
A push factor is a reason why people emigrate from a certain region or country.
There might be a war,
Quality of
civil
life
war.
in Canada pulls many people. A pull factor is a reason why people would immigrate into a certain region or country.
So why be pulled into Canada? Well, maybe they have friends that live here. Maybe they have family that lives here. Maybe there's opportunity in Canada. So what pulls them to Canada? Opportunity, ties to Canada that already exist. Maybe they're looking for the climate that Canada has. Maybe a favorable tax rate. So you have to think critically and say, why would someone come to Canada? Do they really like snow? Who knows? Why would they pick Canada over Australia? Many of the non-Aboriginal people living in or sitting in this room, your families at one point, if they left Europe, they had a choice. Do we go to Canada or do we go to Australia? And they picked Canada. Wouldn't you like to know why? Wouldn't you like to know why you're not living in Australia right now? What was it about Canada? So, what is it about Canada? What's the pull factor? What's the desire? What's the attraction? Is it freedom? Is it opportunity? Is it our charter rights and freedoms? Is it our social safety net? Maybe it's our welfare system. Maybe it's our healthcare and education. Maybe it's our freedom to voice our discontent with our government. Maybe it's our standard of living, economic opportunity and prosperity. What are the pull factors?
If you think you might struggle trying to remember the difference between a pull factor and a push factor, remember, immigrate starts with an I, like moving into a country, and emigrate starts with an E, like exiting a country. There are many factors that influence immigration. Immigrants may have many reasons for leaving their homeland. These push and pull factors may include the following 5 categories. First, economic factors. These deal with decisions based on finances. For example, high unemployment rates may be a factor in making a decision to leave one's home. Second, political factors. These are factors dealing with decisions made by governments. For example, a government that persecutes a particular group would be a reason why people would immigrate. Third, health factors. These factors deal with decisions based on physical issues such as famine or pollution. Fourth are security factors. This deals with decisions based on the need for feeling safe and secure. Great examples to illustrate this would be war or gang violence. Last is rights factors. These are factors dealing with the opportunity to ensure individual and collective rights, such as the rights of women or child labor rights. In order to demonstrate your understanding of this video, we are asking you to complete a push-pull factor entrance ticket. Throughout Canada's history, there have been many different reasons why people have chosen to immigrate to our country. You're going to visit the link below.
So what we'd like to do is give you some Easter eggs, like in a video game, I guess. And so these lessons that we're putting online, there's often enrichment things. So as an enrichment activity,
And use the interactive map to
you can always go to that website and you can take part in that activity. We're not going to do it today, but it's something that you can do if you have the interest.
complete the activity. You will know you are on the correct website when the following map is on your screen.
So you can also just Google why we came to Canada.
From here, you will click on the different countries on the map to reveal information about push and pull factors.
So for example, so if you Google why we came to Canada, alright, now I've lost it. So if you Google why we came to Canada, we're looking for why we came to Canada, we're looking for that website, or you could just try to copy and paste it or write it down. But I was hoping that by just Googling it, it would come up. I am not seeing it come up. So, why we came to Canada, maybe survey? I may have to copy down that link. So, nice if I could copy paste. Click on.
From here, you will click
You
on the
can't
different
click on it
countries
because
on
it's
the
embedded in
map
the
to
video,
reveal
right?
information about push and pull.
The description of the museum.
Description of what, sorry?
Of the video. Like down below.
Okay.
To
Let's
reveal
look at
information
description.
about push and pull factor. From here, you will click on the
I missed it again, didn't
And minimize.
I? Minimize. Oh, like down here? Aha! Look at you. There we go. Thank you. So there's the link, and you can definitely take the survey if you're interested over the weekend or in the coming weeks. But it also talks about some of the push-pull factors that some other Canadian groups have felt in the past. So we're going to leave that video there, and we're going to jump to the Williams social videos now. And again, the nice thing about the Williams social videos is it's completely the Alberta curriculum, and she has the questions at the beginning, and then she'll have the answers at the end. So I'd like you to tell me in 10 minutes. So I'm going to ask you in 10 minutes to tell me about the push-pull factors. In 10 minutes, I'm going to ask you to tell me about where did Canada try to attract most settlers from originally. In 10 minutes, I want you to tell me about what is an example of a racist immigration policy. I want you to tell me in 10 minutes about why does Canada want more immigrants. I want you to tell me in 10 minutes what are the 4 factors that influence our immigration legislation. And finally, what are the 3 classes of immigrants discussed? That's 6 things to look for in this 10-minute video. There's about 15 of us here today. We could divide the work, but I don't want to force anyone to talk. I'm not going to say you have to do question 1, because then there's only like 2 people responsible. What if nobody wants to say anything in that group of 2? So I'd like to have this discussion in 10 minutes. So this is like a group thing, where theoretically everyone assembled here today is going to get 100% on this assignment, if you can collectively answer these 6 things. So this is an experiment at socialism, experiment at a group project. We can't do group projects as easy right now because of COVID, but here's an attempt at it. So these are the 6 questions that I need you to look for during the video. So it's 10 minutes long. Let's see if we can come up with them. I'm going to just stop our video because I don't think we need a video of us watching a video. That's just too many layers of